It's always a good sign when the soap turns into coffee. A while ago, I got a lot of Sony Mavica cameras, and the reason why they're off on the side here is because, well, the lanyards are the main focus in today's video. At a first glance, you can probably see that these are not exactly in brand new factory condition, and this one especially has seen a lot of use over the years. These lanyards are the one downside about these cameras currently because, well, they're not exactly very clean, and it's not very fun to deal with these, especially in the state that they're in. The reason though why I'm spending the time to clean these up and make them look as if they are brand new is because these are genuine Sony lanyards or shoulder straps from the 90s and the 2000s, and they have that classic blue and black color scheme that was common on shoulder straps from this time period. They go well with these cameras, and there's no point in getting replacement ones because, well, I already have them here and all they need is a good clean. Now, I would understand getting a replacement if obviously the fabric was torn or something was just wrong with it completely. Really, the only significant damage that any of these have is specifically on the one that was used the most, in which the stitching here has kind of been falling apart, but this is still strong and it's still holding together. Even with that, these are still worth investing the time in getting these back into brand new shape because, well, it's just classic Sony and it would just be a shame to get rid of these. And there really isn't much else to say about the lanyards themselves, but that's going to be the goal in today's video. We're going to take these lanyards off of these Mavicas, and then we're going to go ahead and give them a thorough cleaning, and then in the end, we'll see how they turned out. So now, of course, unless you want to wash the camera with soap and water, which doesn't seem like a good idea, we have to actually remove the lanyards. The process is pretty straightforward. Even though they are similar, they're not exactly the same. They all, of course, have the blue and black color scheme, they have the Sony logo, but some of them have an additional Sony logo on the gray stitching part, which connects different parts of the camera strap together. And that was pretty interesting to see. I'm not sure why they're different, but it seems like this may have been a design choice that was done throughout the lifespan of these different cameras, and it seems like the additional Sony logo was added later on, but it is still interesting to see how these lanyards have slightly changed over time. One more thing I want to mention is that before I went ahead and started cleaning these lanyards, I also double checked the official manuals for these cameras and even some era appropriate handy cams, basically 90s and 2000s equipment, and interestingly enough, they don't specify anything about cleaning the shoulder strap. I guess it kind of makes sense because if you think about it, I mean, they'd probably want you to buy another one instead of just cleaning it, but I thought it was worth pointing out because even though there are official guides on how to clean lenses and just how to take care of the actual camera or whatever, they never said anything about the shoulder strap. And here's a final look at how they are before actually cleaning them. Even though the other three camera straps look like they're in alright condition, none of these camera straps feel clean. So at the very least, it's worth doing because they won't be disgusting to use and they'll be actually clean for the first time in who knows how long. Now we just have to drop them in. So initially I was going to wash all of them together, but I soon decided that it would probably be a better idea to wash the worst one separately just because of how bad it was and because I did not want the dirt from it to transfer over to the other three lanyards. So that's exactly what I did. I put soap on the worst one. I let it sit for a while so that way it would soak into the fabric. And then after that, I also started brushing it and it worked because it started to clean up, and this was all before I added water. Of course, after a while of it sitting with the soap, I then started washing it. I spent probably around half an hour cleaning this because of how bad it was. And even though it took so long to actually clean this, it certainly was worth it because it's actually surprising to see how much dirt came out and how the fabric actually cleaned up really well after cleaning this, because it's probably been a long time since this has actually had a clean. If not, this is probably the first time it's ever been cleaned. And with the remaining three camera straps, I did the exact same thing. I let them soak in water and soap, and with the three of them combined, it still wasn't as bad as the first one. So it just goes to show you how bad it really was. With the rest of the cleaning process for these, it's basically the exact same thing because there's 4 camera straps, and I'm pretty sure that watching the same thing happening 4 times is not that interesting, so we're just going to fast forward through the rest of these. In the end, they all cleaned up very nicely, and really the last thing remaining is just waiting for them to dry. And of course they are done just like that because we have the magic of editing here and we don't have to wait. And it's finally done. For you, it was around 5 minutes of video time. For me, this was a couple of days work. A lot of that time was just waiting for these to dry completely, but a good amount of time still went into cleaning these, and well, was it worth it? I definitely think so. I mean, if we take a look at these now, they basically look like we just unboxed them. At least for the most part. So even though they are not 100% perfect, they're certainly a lot cleaner than they were before. And if we just take a look at them now, and in fact, go ahead and take a guess as to which one was the worst one. So you might be able to tell based on the difference in the colors. They are slightly different, and this one is the one that was the worst. And the only way you can tell is based on the fact that this is actually damaged, but the other ones are fine. This is the same camera strap, and it's honestly crazy to see what a simple clean can actually do. So for the first time in, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's been 20 years since these were last clean. They are clean. They're usable. I can actually touch these without having to wash my hands again, and this is awesome because, well, classic Sony lanyards. I was half expecting these to fall off. Upon further inspection, these seem to be basically adhered to the fabric to be one piece. So it's nice to see that these are still in good condition, and they also cleaned up quite nicely as well. All that's left to do is, well, to put them back on the cameras. And they're all going to get their own lanyards again. The way we can actually tell which ones had which is by going back to the video footage, and just like that, they're back on their cameras. I would have done this much sooner. However, at the current moment, I still don't have good quality battery replacements to actually use these as a camera. I'm certainly glad that I did this because, well, these are actually usable now. The cameras themselves are another story, and hopefully in the future I will be able to use all of these someday. These cameras are one step closer to being in almost like new condition again. At least from the viewpoint that they're clean and they're in good condition. If you've enjoyed today's video, then consider subscribing because it'll definitely help out the channel and hopefully it'll allow me to actually use these cameras someday. So be sure to stick around for that whenever I do get the chance. Because Mavicas are awesome cameras, and I mean, this is all the explanation you need. That's pretty cool, considering this is technology from basically 20 years ago. But that's all for now, and as always, thank you very much for watching.